For the longest time, the coupe SUV body style was almost exclusively confined to the luxury space, but in a matter of weeks, India has received two affordable coupe SUVs. First came the Citroen Basalt, and now we have the Tata Curvv. I know quite a lot of you are excited to know about these two and how they match up on paper, which is why we brought you this detailed comparison video where we're going to be talking about how these two match up in terms of size, in terms of their powertrains, and also in terms of features. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to Car and Bike and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video. And now let's take a closer look at how the Basalt and the Curvv match up. So first, let's talk about dimensions, about size, because after all, these are meant to be bigger than your subcompact SUVs, and both of these are over 4.3 meters in length. But the Basalt is longer than the Curvv, though the Curvv manages to battle it out in the width and height categories because it is wider, it is taller than the Basalt. But more importantly, the Basalt has a longer wheelbase. This wheelbase is nearly 100 millimeters longer than that of the Curvv, and that should ideally translate to more interior space. I can tell you from personal experience, I've sat in the Curvv petrol and diesel, and the rear seat is nicer than that in the EV. In terms of wheel sizes, the Basalt is stuck with a 16-inch rim on all variants, while the Curvv does offer you bigger wheel sizes. You get the 16 inches on the entry-level models, but you also have 17 and 18-inch wheels on the higher spec versions. In terms of boot space, the Curvv has an edge over the Basalt because the Curvv has a 500-liter boot, while the Basalt has a 470-liter boot. Fuel tank capacities are more or less the same, as the Curvv has a 44-liter tank, the Basalt has a 45-liter tank. And in terms of braking setup, you get a disc front and drum rear setup on both vehicles, except the Curvv on the top spec models with the TGDI engine and the diesel engine has a rear disc setup as well. If you're somebody who lets the feature list of a vehicle influence your purchase decision, then this is really a lopsided contest because the Curvv really outdoes the Basalt in every respect, even when you look at just the base variants. So I know quite a lot of you were quite enthused by the Basalt's low starting price, but if you look at the vehicle, it looks completely different from the Basalt you've seen in the pictures so far. While both base variants are quite basic, the Basalt just looks entirely different and is far too basic for most tastes. Even in terms of equipment, the base Curvv does offer more features. You don't even get a tilt adjustable steering on the Basalt, which is something that is available on the Curvv, along with adjustable headrests which are present on the Curvv and are missing from the Basalt. Towards the top end, of course, there are lots of things which are missing from the Basalt. Here's a quick look at all of them. Now let's talk powertrains. You see, both coupe SUVs are available with a choice of at least two powertrains, which is good, but the Curvv offers you the option of a diesel engine, which is missing from the Basalt as it is a petrol-only model. The Basalt gives you two engine options, so you've got a naturally aspirated option and you've got a turbo petrol. The naturally aspirated model is by far the least powerful compact SUV that you can buy. It produces 80 brake horsepower and only 115 Newton meters of torque. In comparison, the most basic Curvv that you can buy comes with a 1.2-liter turbo petrol engine that produces close to 118 bhp and 170 Newton meters of torque. So there is a substantial difference in power. And the Curvv is also available with the TGDI engine. It's a brand new unit. It is marginally more powerful than the regular turbo petrol, but it has 55 Newton meters more torque. And of course, there's the diesel with 116 bhp and 260 Newton meters of torque. And in terms of transmissions, you get a 6-speed manual on all versions of the Curvv, And for those wanting an automatic, there is the option of a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. The Basalt, by comparison, has a 5-speed manual for the naturally aspirated engine, a 6-speed manual for the turbo petrol, and a regular 6-speed automatic transmission for the turbo petrol engine as well. And right now, the Curvv is the only one of these two to offer an all-electric powertrain. As you know, the Curvv EV was launched before the ICE version, and you can watch our review of that by clicking on this pop-out banner. And now we come to the prices. The Basalt really took everyone by surprise with its sub 8 lakh starting price, but you have to remember that it is pretty stripped down. It is missing most features that you expect to see on a compact SUV today. In comparison, the Curvv starts much higher at 10 lakh rupees. That's a competitive starting price, but of course it is substantially higher than the Basalt. But you have to remember that the base Curvv does offer more than the base Basalt. Towards the top end, the difference in prices is huge, but that's because the difference in features is huge. The Curvv tops out at 19 lakh rupees for the top end dual clutch automatic versions, and the Basalt tops out at 13.62 lakh rupees. So for customers who do want more features, the Curvv does give you that option, but you have to pay the price for those features. So this was a cursory first look at how these two coupe SUVs match up on paper. But for now, tell us what you think of the Basalt and the Curvv. If you think this is a tasty matchup, which of these two do you prefer in terms of design and styling? And are there any features that you think the Basalt should have had to be able to fairly compete against the Curvv? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed this format, let us know that too, so we can bring you more such videos in the future. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it informative, then please give us the thumbs up. And if you know somebody who would be interested in the Basalt or the Curvv, then make sure to share this video with them.